You're now listening to the show about the shit in life that's just a bit too much, from the perspective of stand-up comics. With our hosts, Carmelo Bongiovi and Ken Krantz. This week's topic, a lot of stress. This is A Bit Too Much.
We had a puppy once, dog once. Well, Sarah did, and then I met him at 3. You know, he was 3 when I met Sarah. He was nuts. He was crazy because they're like genetically because they're all like inbred when those puppy mills they breed like they're fucking siblings. So they're all like a little off. You know, when you go like those like places that are like the places that everyone speaks out against.
Yeah.
You know, like it's because they don't do the right thing, breeding them. You know, and so. And I loved that dog to death, but he was wild.
But did you consider it so you met the dog when he was 3.
Yeah.
So did you ever feel like that was your dog? Like, did you ever consider...
It took a while. But the thing about dogs, which I think is different than like kids, there's only one difference between dogs and kids. No, I think like the different, like dogs will love you with everything they are. So you're going to bond with that dog. You know, it's like impossible not to. Like I think. They probably took a good once me and Sarah moved in together, and I was the one I was doing most of the walks because somehow that went to me, and I was like doing all that. It felt like it was my dog after like a few years. I'd say 2 years in. When
I moved in with my wife and stepkids. They have a dog literally rescued like off the side of the street.
Yeah.
And this dog, they don't even really know for sure how old she is, but we think maybe around 15.
This dog also Puerto Rican? Does a dog also go like, "Hey, gringo, feed me"?
Yeah, well, I colonized the dog. That's what. So my oldest stepdaughter refers to me as a colonizer.
You said once like that. Sometimes you just make yourself as small as you can to not be seen in your house.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh so hard. Like the idea that sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get made fun of.
Yeah. But my Netflix profile is colonizer with a K because my stepdaughter put it together. She tells me I colonized her dog. She says I colonized her mom. And I'm like, did I colonize your dog or am I just willing to fucking walk her all the time?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but the way you put that leash on, you fucking oppressor. You know, but here's the thing, though. Like, there's what she has to understand is there's 2 types of white people. There's the white people that are motivated to colonize, and then there's people like Krantz. You're not motivated to do anything.
I'm not.
You don't have the motivation to colonize and oppress.
But it
takes some gusto, you know?
I can't smoke weed in the house because the kids get annoyed, obviously.
Yeah.
So I got to smoke weed outside, so I may as well walk the dog. So, and they're never looking to let me walk the dog.
Right.
So I don't think it's that I colonized. I think it just fell to me because no one else seemed like they wanted to do it.
There's a thing that happens when you are a guy in a hetero relationship and the woman has a dog where the guy becomes, it's like taking out the garbage. Like the guy takes on all these like stereotypical like guy tasks sometimes.
Yeah.
And one of those things becomes walking the dog.
Yeah.
Like, show me a straight couple where the woman had a dog first and she's the primary walker.
Yeah.
Show me that couple.
That's a good...
And when it happened with my wife and I, obviously way before we were married, when we first started dating, she had this dog that was 3. And he was like super he had separation anxiety, like really bad separation anxiety. Like if we left him alone, he was trembling. Mm-hmm. Felt bad for the dog, but like it took like a good 2 years to feel like, okay, this is like, I'm like the dog dad now. Like this is like my dog now because we bond, dogs will just fucking burrow their way into your heart. Like you can't even not bond with a dog. The debate came up between, so my daughter wants a pet, right? We have fish, fucking nightmare. Thing grows algae. The tank gets algae all the time. We had to buy a goddamn snail to eat the algae off the tank because I change the water all the time. I can't keep this fucking tank clean. I don't know how to keep the tank clean. And I was like, well, we should have just got a dog. And maybe I shouldn't have said that. Because
Yeah, like if you find fish to be too much work, a dog seems
kind of,
like...
Yeah, but it was a kind of work that I'm not comfortable doing, which is like handiwork. You know what I mean? It's like, I got to buy like special scrubs and I've got to like siphon out the water and like that. It's like handiwork. I felt like I was fixing I felt like I was fixing my sink all the time. You know, it was like, that's what it was like. What kind of pet is this? It's an appliance. It's bullshit. I can't fucking cuddle with them. I can't. I mean, you could talk to them and just fucking blink at you. Do fish blink? I don't know. I just said they blink. I don't know. They don't fucking like. There's no interaction. There's no emotional connection to fish. And then there's just a lot of like handiwork you need to do.
Yeah,
it's a lot of
good
work.
Point.
It's a lot of work that's not even hands on with the animal. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one thing when like your dog gets sick. And you're like, you got to like take him to the vet and it costs you a ton of money. But like you also have an emotional connection and you're holding the dog and you feel bad that the dog got sick.
Right. You don't just throw the dog in the toilet when it dies.
Yeah, because it would never fit. But like, so we had 6 fish. One of them dropped. And my daughter hasn't noticed that there's only 5 in there now because we had 2 of the same color. So she just hasn't noticed. But it was like that day I was like, all right, I guess I just flush this fucking thing down. And so to me, it was like, all right, that was the fish were like a consolation pet for her while she's young. And also it was like a reward for potty training. We're like, if you go, and she did potty training like a champ. Like she was like, the second we had her do it, within like 2 days, she was potty trained. So we're like, all right, you get these fish. And then, so this is what happens. It's fucking stress in my life. This is what goddamn happens. This past Saturday, we're at my daughter's dance class. We're sitting waiting for her to finish. It's a 45-minute dance class. You know, it's like a toddler dance class. She's in her dance class, and my wife out of nowhere, so fucking casually, oh, you know, there's this like adoption place where they have, look at these pictures they're uploading on social. Like, look at how cute these dogs are. She shows me this place every once in a while. Yeah, cute dogs. And she goes, you want to look, like, we have time to kill. We had something to do later. She's like, we have time to kill. Do you want to go out there and see the dog? I'm like, no, absolutely not. If we go see a dog, I know my wife. This is a woman who one time, after we went to wineries out in Long Island, drunk, walked into a pet place and just laid on the floor and let like 14 puppies just crawl all over her for like an hour while she was drunk. I know my wife is such an animal lover, and I am too. So I was like, I don't think that's a smart idea. You're gonna go see you're gonna fall in love with puppies, right? And also we're gonna take my daughter. She's gonna fucking want to leave there with a dog, like obviously, like any 3-year-old would. So we're having this conversation now. The little back part of this is that at some point they both try to convince me to get a cat. I was like, no cats.
No. Yeah, it's so weird.
Cats.
Like, I'm such an animal lover, but I'm like, fuck a cat.
Yeah. Cats and raccoons, fuck them both. In terms of the animal kingdom, if I could just eliminate 2 things, raccoons first, because they scare me. They literally don't throw out my garbage after 7 because my dumpster gets flocked with fucking raccoons. I act like there's a local gang back there. I'm like, I can't go back there at night. I'm wearing their colors, you know. And then cats. And I feel like cats are just fucking housebroken raccoons. Like they're not. She goes, I had a cat growing up. This is my wife. She was like, I had a cat growing up, and that cat was such a cuddly, great cat. I'm like, yes, I understand that some cats are amazing. Any animal has a capacity. You can fucking have a wolf in your house that could be affectionate. Any animal, it's possible you could get a super like great one that folds right into your home. But guess what? The other half of cats, probably more than half of cats do, scratch you when they just don't like what you're doing, knock shit off your counter. You feel like you have a fucking like a drug addict roommate.
Yeah, or like a mobster.
Like you don't fucking want to look at them. You don't want to piss them off. You have to warn everyone when they come in your house, like, don't look at my roommate.
Nice glass of milk. Be a shame if something happened to it.
Right. Like, cats are fucking menaces. And of course, like it's 50-50. I'm probably 70-30. Bad to good if you're going to get an asshole cat or a good cat. So this is what I said to my wife. I'm like, why take the improbable chance that we'll get a good cat when if we get a dog, this is prior to this past Saturday, if we get a dog, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Dogs are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way around it. Even dogs with some behavioral issues, even dogs with like a little fucked up, one's got a little weird ticked eye or a little fucking bum leg, they're all fucking awesome. Every dog loves their family, right? Not every cat.
No.
Loves
And
their
the mean cats live forever.
I think those mean cats are kind of like what people go through. I've had a lot of friends in New York City who like put up postings for roommates, and sometimes they just get nightmare roommates, or they get not even necessarily like roommates that do horrible things, but roommates that are just like not fun to be around. I think that's what having a lot of cats is like.
My dad had a cat growing up. I hated this fucking cat. Every kid in our family hated this fucking cat.
Cats are the magicians of the animal world.
Is the only animal I ever kicked. I punted this cat once. Because she had her claws in my dog's face, and my dog was my best friend. She attacked my dog, and I tried to get my hand in there to separate them. Yeah. She scratched me. I just fucking punted her right off the front porch.
It really is like having like a sibling who's an addict, having a cat. Like, you ever talk to a fucking cat owner who has a shitty cat? They have to make all these fucking excuses for them, like the way you would as if you had like someone in your life who's fucking things up. Like, you talk like any cat owner is like, listen, like, don't go near the cat. If you go near her, she definitely will scratch you. She's definitely gonna like fuck up your shit. Like, but she's good. You know, she really deep down is good. I'm like, if you have to convince me, it's an animal. There's not a lot of logic there.
I know, like deep down she's good. Like what is she like?
Those conversations,
writing checks to charities on the weekend and not drawing attention.
Yeah, like she's really grumpy, but she's really for the better of people, you know. Even though she seems like she's like Bernie Sanders, you know. She seems real grumpy, like a grumpy old man. But if you talk to her, he's like a decent guy. So cats suck. I'm sorry, cats fucking suck. Like most cats, and then some cats are awesome, right?
My dad has this cat. Every kid fucking hates this cat.
Yeah,
she's beautiful, but she's as mean as they come.
Yeah,
and she lived for fucking ever. She probably made it to like almost 20.
Yeah,
because we had that cat from when I was a little kid until I think I was married, maybe, you know? And my dad calls me one day and he says, listen, when you come visit, I want you to be careful coming up the driveway. Jasmine is pretty much blind and deaf at this point.
Kind of a cunty name to be
and I'm worried. I'm worried someone's going to run her over. So, because my dad loved animals, even the mean, like my dad would, if there was a moth in the house, he would like catch it and release it outside. He would try and get flies outside.
Yeah.
So he says, you know, don't, just be real careful coming up the driveway. She likes to lie there and she can't see or hear cars anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Dad, I'll be careful. And then 2 days later he called. He was like, I ran over Jasmine.
Oh no. Was he heartbroken?
No, I think he felt bad that he was the one that did it, but I don't think anybody was like, this poor, but I think he must have felt.
Jasmine does sound like the name of a beautiful woman who would fuck up your life, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
That's like, it's such a beautiful exotic name. That's like, that makes sense. I think a cat is, I'll throw one last analogy in there because I'm throwing a lot out there. I think a cat is like a wife you know you have to get divorced from.
Yeah.
You know, but you're just like, she's fucking hot, man. That's what having a shitty cat's like. Because once the cat's in your house, it's an animal. They're all, you know, even cats are kind of assholes. They're all defenseless to a degree compared to us, right? So, like, you're going to, like, feel bad for the cat sometimes. And you're going to, like, try to see the good side of the cat. But I'm just not a cat person because it's such a gamble getting a cat. Whereas a dog, on the other hand, every dog's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever owned like a shitty dog?
No. I've you know, honestly, even when you have people who are like, I had to give the dog away because it bit someone, you know, those things. Usually, even if you talk to the owners, those dogs are like they had a moment or two, but they also were pretty awesome most of the time. As opposed to the cat people who are like, most of the behavior is bad and they have to make all these excuses for them. But you just don't get that hurt from cats usually. Like big dogs can cause a lot of damage, obviously. Whatever. We got a little mini Dachshund, a little mini hot dog.
What's your name? You sent me pictures, by the way. It's the cutest fucking dog.
Cute dog. So my daughter named her Honey because she wanted to name her Syrup.
Yeah.
just a fucking kid thing. She's like, let's name her Syrup. And
Let's
I was
name
like,
her Frosted Mini Wheats.
well, you know what's funny about it? Like Syrup is like so we were like, can we name it something that is a name? And then we can like work on it from there. So like Honey was a close, it's close in like both texture and sweetness to like the actual products, right? So I'm like, she was okay with Honey. We like pivoted toward Honey because Honey is also a name. Sounds like a little Southern girl.
Yep.
Whereas Syrup is very, look, my daughter's progressive. It's very non-binary. you know, it's very like, the Syrup is definitely a they them, like that is a very progressive way to, but we're like, we're going to feel very silly. This is what I always think with dog names. What can I say both when I'm like having a good or bad moment with this dog? What am I going to sound like? Syrup, like Syrup, don't pee there. It just sounds ridiculous. Honey's like cute,
Yeah.
Cute dog. But what happens is on Saturday, we're waiting for my daughter to get through this dance class, and my wife says, let's go to this place. And I'm like, no, it's a bad idea. And she goes, come on, let's just like go cuddle the dogs. I'm like, I know you're incapable of just cuddling a dog and not, like, you'll think about that dog for weeks. Her affection to animals is like my affection to food. Like, I'm obsessed.
Yeah,
right.
she eats them.
If I eat a great sandwich, I think about that shit for. I went to Madrid years ago, and there's still dishes that I think about once a week. That is how my wife is with animals. And I have a little kid, a little girl. She's gonna fucking fall in love. So I'm like, it's a bad idea. She's insisting. She's like, come on, let's just go. I'm like, Sarah, this is a bad fucking idea. We got into one of the biggest fights we've gotten into. Maybe our whole relationship over this, because I ended up going. So then,
yeah, well, I see who won.
This is how every argument goes, though. I always end up losing. But I put up a fight. I'm proud of myself. So I was like, eventually. So this is what my wife says to me. This is some shit. She goes, all right, if you can find an alternate plan to do right after this dance class, then we'll go do that thing instead. I'm like, I don't have a plan. I don't have a place we can go. How manipulative is that? Oh, she's like, if you could come. So she was like, she knew there's nothing local. I'm in a boring little town. It's like farms around and shit, but it's a winter. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to just conjure up. You're the plan maker. You're the one who comes up with the ideas for us. So I'm not going to, like, she knew I wasn't going to have a way out. I was going to be like, oh, let's go to this cool place instead. So since I couldn't come up with a plan, she won. We got there. So we go to the place. Of course, we see a bunch of dogs. And of course, this one dog that we end up getting gravitates to us, jumping all over us, like really cute, really small, 2-month-old, just little fucking bundle of joy. This dog is just like the most beautiful and affectionate little dog. She's all over my daughter, and I'm watching the dog climb up. My daughter's sitting on the floor, and I'm watching the dog climb up, like slowly climb up, like they know that it's like this is how I get adopted. Face,
yep.
And they're just like kissing my.
They know what they're doing.
Chin, right? Because they probably go through the rounds every day, and then they see one of their siblings leave, and they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have been eating my food. I should have been doing that." So I'm seeing this happen, and I go, "This is going to be." I said it in my head, and I whispered it to my wife. We've got a little situation here, and I knew it was going to happen. Meaning, I wasn't planning on getting a dog that far. It wasn't even a conversation we were having. I'm like, now we got to remove this child who just fell in love with this dog from this situation. We almost get to a point where we were going to walk out with her that day. And I was like, no, wait, we're not fucking ready. We're not ready. And so my wife and I have this huge fight over this. And, but we leave. My daughter threw such a tantrum in the place because she had to leave and not take the dog home with her that at one point my wife went to go pick her up. She picked her up by under her arms, and my daughter yelled, "You're choking me."
I choke in my armpits.
Some other fucking older women were there, and they were like, "Oh my god, that mom's choking!" like people thought it was so dramatic. And if you know me, you know the one thing I fucking hate is a scene. I hate a public scene. Now, granted, I wasn't mad at my daughter for causing the scene because it was her mom's fault. It wasn't her fault, right? But now we've got a situation. If these people think we're hurting our kids, I don't know. So I'm like, oh god, we gotta get out of here. We go, my daughter cried. It's a 45-minute ride home. My daughter's, she's like, I love her. It was like we tore away the love of her life. She's sobbing, this snot bubbles, and she can't breathe. Like she's hyperventilating. And we're like, it's going to be okay. We'll get a dog eventually. And she's like, no, I love her. She's going to miss me. Like she's having a whole, and everything she's saying is so sad and cute. She's like, the dog's going to miss me. And all that. I'm like, oh, God.
Meanwhile, the dog's shaking its ass for another kid. Like right at that moment.
Right. It's like, that stripper loved me. Yeah. Right? She doesn't give everyone dances like that. Yeah, been there. So she, now we're on the way home and I'm mad because of this. I'm like, I knew this was going to happen, like we're just having this like married couple moment where we're just like bickering at each other. My wife feels right. I feel right. We're not, like those moments, those arguments. And in the back of my mind, as mad as I am, I'm like, oh, I fucking love that dog. I already fell in love with that dog. I had already been won over inside the place, but I was staying strong because I was not ready that. We weren't even going right home. Like we couldn't have gotten the dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go home. My daughter goes to bed. My wife's like, do you want to talk about it? Like, do you want to, not about the fight.
No.
Not about my feelings.
No. Do you want to talk about how soon you're going to give it?
How we're getting this dog? Like the conversation right away, and she was right because I was already won over. I was like, "Yeah, no, I know we're getting the dog now. Like now we don't have a choice." Sophia is like, "Fuck it," it's like a Romeo and Juliet. Fucking, she was fucking heartbroken, and I'm now like, I want to take that dog home. That was Saturday. We brought the dog home on Tuesday. We called on Monday, gave a deposit to make sure no one adopts the dog. Yeah. Tuesday we went to go pick up the dog. I haven't slept in 2 days.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a 2-month-old dog who, by the way, I'll have a dog in my bed. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit to like let dogs sleep in a cage or crate. I fucking sleep on top of my face. I fucking love dogs. But
white people are very like this dog's got no boundaries. There's no.
Yeah, no. But I'm not sleeping with the dog in the bed because she's fucking 3 pounds. She's a mini Dachshund. If she jumped off the bed, she'd die. It would be like it would be like the footage of those people who jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, yeah. And so I'm like, so she can't sleep in the bed. I'll either fucking crush her or she'll jump off the bed and get serious. So I'm like trying to, train her to sleep in the bed, and she's crying, and she doesn't even have a bark yet because she's so young, but she definitely has a cry, like a whiny cry that's pretty loud. So I haven't slept in fucking 3 days, dude. Like I was like. It's like having another infant in the house, and it won't last as long as that, of course. But like right now, this dog is like, all the dog wants to do is sleep on it because it's like in that puppy phase where they sleep a lot. So she's like, all she wants to do is sleep on top of you. Now, listen, what you just said about your dad, I didn't grow up an animal person. My parents, do you know what I had as a fucking kid? I had a turtle. I had 2 goddamn turtles.
They're probably still alive.
I don't know. That slept outside, by the way, in a tank outside in Queens. No connection. My parents are from the fucking hills of Sicily. Animals are food.
Yeah.
Right? That is what they think. My mother had I want to say she had like a bunny she loved when she was little, and they ate it. And like it just, you certainly, if you talk to my mother about pets now, you're like, oh, that's psychotic. That's a person who had their pet eaten. They're eating the bunnies. So like, but it was her own family eating them. Her mom used to behead chickens in a fucking drawer. Like they had a farm. And the way she would like
open the drawer, put the chicken's head in and slam it
to cut the head off.
That's one way. That's one way of doing it.
Right? And then you throw the chicken down and let it run around because they do that until it bleeds out. So could you imagine being a child? Oh, you wouldn't be an animal person either. If as a child you walked into your living room and you saw blood spouting out of a neck hole of a chicken, and then if you open a drawer, there's a head inside of it. I mean, that's truly it's like almost like voodoo shit, you know? That's how Sicilians in that time, you know, in the 50s and 60s, that's what they fucking did, man. So my mom doesn't have this affection. My dad also, like, they didn't have an affection toward animals like that. To them, it's like my dad liked to eat. It was like a Sicilian thing. You eat rabbit, you eat goat head. You like, you know, like all rare things, like not just like steak, like you eat like all these rare animals and stuff. So to them, they had no affection to that. Then when I had another dog, my mom didn't have an effect. Like, so I didn't grow up like an animal person until I met my wife and she had that dog, and that dog like just fucking melted me. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm a dog person now.
Yeah.
And now I'm a complete dog person. Like,
Yeah,
if you brought a dog in here, this episode would stop. I would just literally just get on the floor with the dog.
We always had dogs growing up. The fastest we ever had a dog, we got, like they would get sick or whatever, and then my mom would just be like, "Oh, we're sending them to this farm in Pennsylvania." And I was a little kid, and I believed it,
Yeah.
And I would be like, "Oh, this place sounds great. Like, can I visit?" And she would be like, "Yeah, once the weather gets warm." Like she would just, no shame, just be like, "Oh, absolutely." And know that I would probably forget, or know that we'd probably get a new dog, and then I would be. I figured it out though in my 20s.
Yeah, right. My daughter is one of these kids that like sometimes she's like a little kid who's got like a very good vocabulary. So sometimes she sounds like a 40-year-old woman. Like sometimes kids just like freak you out like that. Like they say like weird. So my daughter had this, like she knows that we had a dog that died. And the only way we explained it was like heaven. We just said heaven. Not even religious people, but my wife's a little more religious than I am. And she's like, the dog's in heaven, right? But my daughter has like turned it into this like thing where she just brings up all the time like death now. She just will be like, she'll just be like like a certain grandma's in heaven, all this stuff, right? She'll just be like if I'm like my knee hurts, she's like, "'Cause you're old." My daughter will say that to me, and then she'll go, "Does that mean you're going to heaven?" Like she'll just say stuff like that. You're like, God damn it, kid. Or one day she said like she thought she could visit our dog in heaven. She just thought it was like a place. An earthly place you could go, because we were like, a dog went down, and like
Just thought it was on Long Island somewhere.
That's hell. First of all, Suffolk County is hell. And so she would say things like, "Oh, I want to go visit the dog in heaven." Like she would just say things like that. So she's now like. Even we got this dog. We had the dog for a day. Like it's such. I'm like, who is this kid? We had a dog for a day, and I was like, this is gonna be your dog. This is your childhood dog. She's like, until she goes to heaven. And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, good.
And then we'll get you a new one.
Right. And then we'll get you a new one, and you'll pretend to love that one as much.
We had this dog once Chloe. She was beautiful, beautiful dog, but she was epileptic.
Oh, God.
And we didn't know that. She started having seizures in the house, but she would run around the house having a seizure. And
still running? Like she wouldn't collapse?
Yeah, she would kind of run, or I was such a little kid. Maybe it was like in one place, but she would shit while she was seizing up.
Yeah.
And her tail would be going... her tail would be going a mile a second. Yeah. So as she shit, it would hit the tail and then become like projectile.
That's how rhino shit.
Yeah. So
shit out of their tail.
I think I was like in the 3rd or 4th grade, and I came home from school one day, and my mom is on a step stool cleaning dog shit off the walls and ceiling. And I remember, that's when I figured it out. I was like, she's going to the farm in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
she was like, oh, yeah, she's going to the farm.
Anytime a dog starts acting up, soon after, they're at the farm.
But I remember, that's just the first time you're like, oh, mom's scrubbing shit off the ceiling. That doesn't seem like scientifically it should be possible.
Yeah, how did that happen? Okay, let's talk about a different kind of stress. Let's talk about Stress Factory for a second. Mm-hmm. I want to just do that before we go, because there's 2 things to mention about. You filmed your special at Stress Factory.
Yes.
There's two major things I want to talk about.
Okay.
The show.
Yep.
And the after show.
The after show.
Which, by the way, you fucking killed it. I don't even want to say it to you. But you did. You killed.
Thank you.
And that was not my favorite part of the night.
Wasn't mine either.
We'll get to my favorite part of the night. Probably both of ours in a minute. So you taped your special at Stress Factory. Probably no details yet on release or anything like that.
Not yet.
But great show.
Thank you.
Sicoli emceed, right? It's a really good night. Who else was on? Danny Braff.
Danny
Who,
Braff.
by the way, called me New Ritu. Your old podcast host. And I'm like, cool. That's the meaning. Nothing against her. It's just like you're the new someone else.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
Which is so funny because this is like your thing. It's not even mine. And
right. And then somehow I'm not even the fucking alpha
you got
in this.
demoted. You got demoted on your own show.
I'm like,
by a guy
I'm
who
the
doesn't
new,
even know you.
Even on my own show, I'm the new bitch. Like that's what it is. But anyway, Danny also fucking killed. Everyone on the show did great. And the first thing I want to say is I saw something. I've seen a few specials being filmed. I saw something I've never seen before. You, my friend, walked 2 tables during the filming of your special.
I heard that I walked a back table.
Right behind me and my brother.
Right.
I brought my brother to the show. He's in town from Florida. We sat in that sort of like middle section. We were straight shot from the stage. There was only one table behind us, and you walked them. So they were they were very drunk.
Yeah.
Throughout the show, during everyone who, but I really can't stress enough. I'm not just saying this. Everyone fucking murdered. And they were just not having, even when they were enjoying things, they were obnoxiously commenting. But like, I feel like low enough to where the performers didn't hear it, but they were right in back of us. So
I heard a little bit here and there.
Like when you were hanging out in the back?
No, like on stage,
Okay.
I heard a little bit.
There was like this one woman who kept on just going like, if she liked a joke, instead of laughing, like you would do at a comedy show, she would go, okay, yeah, let's go. Like, in fact, I'm like, you're not on TikTok right now. We hear you, you psychopath. And it was like maybe 4 people at the table. And then, so she was doing that, and the other ones were just like moaning and groaning. And then your boy Ken gets up there, and I don't want to talk about any of the material, obviously, but like you had a few jokes that could certainly rub people a certain way, right? Like edgy jokes, and they were like, nope. Just, I would say, I don't know how long you were actually up there.
I think I did 40, 45 tops.
Okay.
Like I was determined to let's not drag this out.
So
I know what jokes I want to hit. Let's just.
It was a very tight set. Whatever length it was. I'm only using that as a point of reference for. I think they left 20 minutes in. Like halfway through, they left. And they were just like, let's go. Let's get the check. They were like, with every joke you told, that check couldn't come fast enough for them. They were just
chew faster.
Yeah.
We gotta get out of here.
And you were like, another thing. And they were like, oh, fuck. Like they were trying to flag down the waitress who was buzzing. One of the waitresses that was like buzzing around, going table to table, and they kept on. And then finally they got it, and they gave the waitress an attitude. I'm like, you're leaving early. Don't give her a fucking attitude. They were busting their asses, And anyway, whatever, they leave. I don't know that you even saw them leave because
I didn't.
It's way back in the dark.
Yeah, I didn't even see them.
And it was a packed, it's a packed show. Like I could see them sneaking out without you ever noticing.
I noticed the other table leave.
Everyone noticed the other table leave.
The other front table, almost dead center.
Dude, when I saw those heads pop up, I'm like, are they like, is there a bathroom emergency? Like, how would you're almost done.
2 grown women. Yeah. I literally was in the middle of the setup to the last punchline of the last joke.
That's what killed me about it. Like, so it's not like you don't like him. You sat there through his whole set, and I'm pretty sure I laughed the whole, like they were.
I did see, they had and I'm used to this, but they had a mix of like laughing but also like, oh. Like I'm kind of used to like the peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
But that's also sort of what I go for.
Right. It's also like kind of there is right that there's something to that where I don't know if people who don't do it would understand that. Like not that you're going so out of your way, I think, to be like an edgy comic. It's just that there is a reaction that is almost more satisfying than the full laugh.
There's something so satisfying about making people laugh at shit that they don't agree with.
Yeah. But like, when that moment happens with those kind of jokes where half the audience really laughs hard and the other half is in the oh my god, they're vocally reacting in a shocked way, but the rest is it's one thing if they only reacted like that and poorly, and that would be great. But like the audience is laughing, which is what I think you were encountering, right? The audience is laughing, but then there's a few tables that are a little shocked and offended. Mm-hmm. That's a great. That's almost better than the full room laughing sometimes.
Yeah,
because it feels like you're doing something.
Yeah,
does that make sense? It feels like you're hitting on something that isn't expected or like just a ha. It feels like a deeper laugh than the full laugh sometimes.
I do feel like stand up, or at least the kind of stand up that I like to watch. It should make you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure. I think
like you don't have to be like, writhing around in your seat the whole time.
It shouldn't be obvious,
but a little uncomfortable.
It shouldn't be obvious,
right.
and it should hit on something that you're like, only that brain would have thought of that point of view on that topic.
Yeah,
that's what I think it is. It's like you're being unique in that moment because you're shocking people.
But these ladies left literally with about 2 minutes. 2 minutes in, they were like, and I think I even was like, I'll leave you with this, like I even think I cued them to know that.
Yeah. I think
this is the last joke.
We all knew it was winding down. And they were like, whatever you're about to say, I'm not gonna. I sat through enough. I don't want to hear the last punchline. I've never seen a walk like that.
Yeah,
where someone leaves during the last joke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I feel like it was obvious it was the last joke.
No, it was. That's what I think. Though your acknowledgement of it and whatever, watch a special. It's great when it's out there, and it all plays well. But at the same time, it's like you just wonder why would you have left?
The other thing that was funny, the table right next to them was a lady and her partner. I don't know if it was her husband, obviously, but they were together, and she started coughing.
Oh, right.
Like where where you have something like a tickle in your throat and you can't stop, and she was doing it quietly. Uh-huh. I recognized she understood. Yeah, I think she recognized this is being filmed. And I don't want to be a distraction.
Yeah.
So I was watching her very quietly struggle with this cough.
Right.
But it was a front table. And I also had a pretty good idea that one of the audience mics was directly pointed at their table.
Oh, shit.
So then I start thinking, and like that comic, when you're up there and you become laser focused.
You're laser focused on the
That's also, I think, why I didn't notice what was going on in the back. Because I was so laser focused on this lady.
Yeah.
And she's coughing. And in my mind, it went on for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I just started getting like, look, I appreciate that this lady is trying to do this quietly. But why don't you remove yourself?
Yeah.
Why haven't you left?
Yeah. And why didn't she leave, Ken?
Well, then I start thinking, like, is this fucking like, did I do this all for nothing just for this lady to quietly cough and that's all you're going to hear? And then I was like, this lady is kind of an asshole. Like, why wouldn't you just get up and excuse yourself? Just walk outside, do something, go to the bar, get water, anything.
Yeah.
And then the show ended and I watched them lift her into a wheelchair. And put her in the little like elevator that's off to the side of the club that no one knows about. And it's funny. As many times as I discover that I'm the asshole in the situation, I'm still surprised.
Yeah,
I still don't see it coming.
You know what's weird about that is no one else is.
There's a lot of people in my life that would agree with that.
Yeah, no one's shocked. Then let's just close with this last little story. Well, my absolute favorite part of the night, the true closer of the night.
Right. So we
also walked a member. So we go down the block, right?
We go down. We go for some post-show drinks.
Yeah.
You were nice enough to come. You brought your brother.
Yep.
My brother was there. My wife. I had family and friends there, and We walk into this bar that I used to frequent. It used to be called the Old Bay in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And that was like my cheers because I lived in
Yeah.
New Brunswick for a decade. And new ownership is it's different.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walk in, you notice this tall, like Joey Ramone looking
Very
dude
Joey
in the corner.
Ramone looking. Yeah.
And as soon as I walk in, my brother says to me, "Hey, if you think about engaging that dude in any kind of conversation, I'm here to tell you, don't do it."
Now, before you tell me
what
that guy said to your brother, let me come back on this story a little bit. Your brother, who I met earlier in the night, who, by the way, seems like the sweetest guy. You know what he said to me? He goes, "I really enjoy listening to the show. I enjoy listening to you getting to know my brother." What a wholesome thing to say. And that's
nice.
My basis for who your brother is in this situation. Just seems like the biggest sweetheart. He's in this bar now dealing with this situation. I walk in and I see your brother at the bar trying to get a drink, and this guy intercepts his drink order to talk to him, and your brother is nice enough to try to like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" Like,
yeah.
But then quickly realizes this guy saying some crazy shit, and your brother is looking right at him, like camera is the guy, and he tried to just do this, as if he was never looking at him in the first place. And he was like, "Yeah, no, so I wanted that vodka soda," like, and your brother looks shook.
Yeah.
He looks
I didn't see any of this.
So
this happened before I got there.
Right. So that's me and my brother walking. You weren't there, right? And so me and my brother walking, we see that, but we walk off. It didn't seem like a bad situation. It just seemed like a weird situation. I'm like, all right, whatever. We walk a few feet over. Me and my brother get a drink. We're talking to some other people that were at the show. I think some friends you had that were there. We're talking to your wife. And then at some point, I'm talking to your wife and my brother, who it's the first time I met your wife. So I was like, getting to know her, and the three of us are talking. We're having a whole conversation. We're joking around. We're laughing about things. We're just getting, and that guy, the Joey Ramone dude, comes over to us, and he's
slowly dances his way across the room.
Now this guy is not leaving his two-step, right? He's only swaying from here to here, but in here, up in this upper body, there's so much happening. It was like there's 40 dance moves happening in this little box. Like this guy's shaking his shoulders. He's doing all this. He's crossing his arms at some point, but his feet are just like, what I realized is he almost fell over like 10 times, because if he moved his foot too far to the left or right, he would have went over. This guy's fucking annihilated.
Yeah, he was like a human Jenga tower.
And he was now hitting on my brother. My brother doesn't like that.
I was there. So this I'm here for.
Right. So now,
because I walked away.
Ken walks over at some point and sees this happening, and I'm fucking loving it, because watching my brother get hit on by this really obnoxious dude just brought such joy to me. And I know, my brother's seething. He's
your brother stood straight up and stiffened up. I said the only way to describe it was like, those like British guards with the red jackets and the big black hat. Like I forget what they guard, like Big Ben or Buckingham Palace or whatever.
Yeah.
And they stand out there.
Can't distract them.
You cannot distract them. You can like walk over and poke them, and they just that your brother turned into like a Buckingham Palace guard.
He got real stiff, and then at some point my brother just turns to him and goes, and this made me like love this even more, because I knew how bad he was. It was just so joyful to watch. He goes, "You're talking to the wrong guy." And then he turns back, and the guy's like, "No, man, no, just talking to me." And this is the guy's skating. He's like, "Me, I was dancing on you and dance with me." And like I heard dance kind of, like I don't really know. And my brother goes, I really think you should walk away. Like, just stop. And because the guy is getting a little aggressive.
Yeah. He's
not touching my brother, but he's gyrating, and his dick is like right there. Like, I mean, if there were no pants, you would have got swing. It would have hit his hip. And my brother's just like mad. He's just like, just get away. Like, just stop. And then your wife did one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of creepy guys hit on a lot of
Well, wait,
people.
just before you... So I walk away.
Oh, yeah. So Ken, by the way, fucking dips out of it. He's like, nope, not doing this.
As soon as he walked over, I was like, nope. And I walked back over to my brother's table.
Yeah.
But now I'm just watching because I see him starting to talk to my wife.
Yeah.
But my wife is also like the toughest lady I know, so much tougher than me. So I was watching because I was like, oh, I just wanted to see, like, if he had put a hand on her, I would have been right there.
Yeah.
But I was watching because I was like, I wonder how quickly he's going to realize this isn't the one.
Well, what's funny is he was there to talk to my brother. He clearly wanted my brother, but then he was like, my brother wasn't having it, and he immediately turned his attention to your wife, and he did get creepy with her for a second.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're so sexy. That's what he says to your wife. And your wife, I've never seen this response in the history of going to bars in New York, New Jersey, all over this country. I've never seen someone get hit on and respond the way she did. I got confused. I didn't know what the conversation was anymore. He goes, you're so sexy. And she goes, it's okay. It's okay? What do you? Yeah. It was almost like it's okay that you are you. Like, it was almost like, this thing that was, I feel like it sobered him up for a second. It was like so insulting, because it wasn't like get away.
Yeah.
It wasn't combative, and it wasn't like not interested. I'm married. There's a million things you would think would be loaded in, ready to go when a woman gets hit on at a bar from a creepy guy, and she goes, oh, it's okay. Like, sympathetic. It completely fucked with him. He was like, and then he was like, just kind of slowly got back into the dance, and then back toward my brother.
Sadly danced away.
And then at that point, I feel like your wife had just completely castrated him emotionally. So he just he even lost his lust for my brother. He was just like, oh, that was a fucking major boner kill. And then he was just like dancing with my brother for a minute, and then he was like, fuck it. And he just walked away. Now, you call me the next day.
Yeah.
We'll leave with this.
I call you the next day because I'm talking.
And I'm with my brother.
I'm talking to my brother the next morning, sort of just doing a recap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, tell him about how he was dancing up on your brother.
Yeah.
And how he tried dancing up on my wife, and it just didn't work out. And then my brother's like, well, you never asked me why I told you not to engage with him.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, I didn't, because I take you at your word. Like, I don't need a backstory. Like, I'm not looking to engage with people anyway. So if you tell me not to, that's all I need to hear. Right. He says that he'd sort of danced up on my brother and was like asking him if my brother liked New Brunswick. And he was like, yeah, I used to live here, you know? And the guy says, well, I got an apartment right down the street. My brother was like, oh, yeah, I used to have one down the street. Like, my brother still doesn't see what's happening. Yeah, he's still
trying to,
And then he's like, do you want to come over and have some drinks? Yeah. And my brother was like, no, I'm at a bar. Yeah. Like, I could drink here.
Is your brother still not getting it at this point?
I don't know. I think he must have. Yeah. But then the guy says, are you sure? Because we can go back to my place and dance, and then you can come on me. My brother was like, check.
It's so good. It's so good because it's not even like, do you want to come over and like, let's see what happens, imply sex, or it's not even come over and fuck.
Yeah.
He skipped right to coming on him.
Yeah.
He's just went, like, anything that leads up to it, dealer's choice.
Yeah.
All I know is at the end of the night, I better be drowning in your cum. Oh, God. Like, that is all that guy wanted. The whole night he was searching for what acts lead there. I don't even think this guy gave a shit. He wanted to know, and at the end of the night, I want to look like that thing that they dip your hand in when you get like physical therapy, that paraffin gel. He's like, just glaze me.
Oh, God. Well, the dude's lonely. Sounds like he needs a dog.
Or dead, honestly. Did not look like he was fucked up.
Sounds like he needs a dog.
Well, a lot of stress. It's a bit too much podcast on all the socials. Follow us, comment, like, share, subscribe. There's a bunch of buttons. Just do all of them. And then
hit all the buttons.
Let's do the show.
See you.